I didn't get an opportunity to actually do a commentary or a video talking about this whole Fearless Fund lawsuit situation that's been going on for quite some time. But I figured, you know what, let me go ahead and talk about the outcome of it. So I'm not surprised that this is the outcome of the whole Fearless Fund situation. But to give you a little bit of an overview, basically Fearless Fund is an organization that was founded by two black women, and it was an organization that was put together to give funds to black women entrepreneurs or anything related to business. This was not funded by the government. This was money that was pulled together by them and other probably organizations to put something together in order to benefit black female or black women entrepreneurs. And it was going fine until an individual by the name of Ed Blum, and y'all have heard this name before, decided to insert his staunchly anti-black needs to hurry up and expire self into the situation and turn it into something completely whatever he wanted it to be. And that's how it gained so much attention, because I'm gonna be honest, I never heard of Fearless Fund until after this started to take shape because of how Ed Blum decided to insert himself into it. Now, the technical definition behind the Fearless Fund is listed as follows. The investment firm's mission is to bridge the funding gap for women of color, entrepreneurs, and support their growth aggressive businesses with a focus on providing funding for women-led businesses at various stages. The firm seeks to empower these entrepreneurs and help them scale their operation. Now, I know what many of y'all are going to say, and I'm right along with you, that women of color part, it's like, okay, can we just have something, or can you have just something that's just beneficial to black women? And see, the thing is, Ed Blum saw that and said, oh, no, we just can't have it be just for black women, even though it's listed as women of color, but they have it where you mostly saw black women benefiting from it the most, and that somehow triggered Ed Blum. Now, the crazy part about it is, if you don't know who Ed Blum is, he's basically the person that he came to prominence in a way where it was talking about getting rid of affirmative action. That's really how I came to know about who Ed Blum was. And like I said, the guy's just staunchly anti-black, always has been and always will be. And I'm gonna get back to Ed Blum in a second, but I wanna go over this article coming from AJC that was posted on today, as a matter of fact, September 11, 2024, where it reads, Atlanta VC firm ends business grant for black women after discrimination lawsuit. And it says the Fearless Fund has agreed to end its small business grant contest for black women business owners in settlement with the American Alliance for Equal Rights. Now, the American Alliance for Equal Rights, that is something that is ran by Ed Blum. That is his thing, but I'll go into details about that shortly. Fearless Fund, the Atlanta-based venture capital firm started by black women to invest in women of color, has agreed to end a small business grant contest for black women business owners, ending a year-long racial discrimination lawsuit. The Fearless Fund and the conservative American Alliance for Equal Rights confirmed the settlement Wednesday morning. On August 2nd, 2023, the Alliance sued Fearless and its foundation over a $20,000 grant for black female entrepreneurs, alleging it was discriminating against non-black business people. So even under the umbrella of women of color, as stated by their mission statement, by Fearless Fund's mission statement, that wasn't enough for Ed Blum, because for him, he saw right through it. He said, this isn't for women of color, quote unquote, because then that means it would be for multiple groups. He saw it as, oh, this is just only for black women. So now I'm going to insert myself into it and say this is being discriminatory and racist against these other group of women, and I'm going to find a way to shut you down. This literally goes back many, many years when black people create something for self, and then you have people come in like Ed Blum and destroy it. See, they don't have to do what they did back when it came to Tulsa back in 1921, or any other massacres that I've even spoke about on my channel when I did my Black Massacre series. They don't have to go to those extremes anymore. They can do it on a documented level. Just to file a few papers, have a slightly big name, have an organization on your side, and fight tooth and nail until it goes away like the dinosaur. In a 2-1 ruling in June, a 3-judge 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals panel ruled against Fearless and issued a preliminary injunction against the grant. As of today, the Fearless Fund has permanently closed the grant contest and will never reopen it. So this again was a contest for a black woman to receive, or black women, depending on if it's a joint kind of business, to win $20,000. But because Ed Blum didn't like that other women couldn't be a part of it, he decided, I'm going to shut it down, and that's exactly what he did. The American Alliance for Equal Rights encouraged the Fearless Fund to open its grants contest to Hispanic, Asian, Native American, and white women. But Fearless has decided to instead end it entirely. Edward Blum, the president of the alliance, said in the statement. The two parties filed a joint motion Wednesday morning to dismiss the case with prejudice. Fearless Fund confirmed the settlement in a statement that did not reference terms. From the moment the lawsuit was filed, I pledged to stand firm in helping and empowering women of color entrepreneurs in need, Fearless Fund CEO and co-founder Arian Simone said in the statement. I stand by that pledge today, and in fact, my commitment remains stronger than ever. Our overarching mission remains focused on helping and empowering entrepreneurs who have been historically overlooked in the venture capital marketplace. In 2022, female founders of color received just 0.39% of all venture capital investments, according to Fearless. Historically, black female entrepreneurs received a fraction of what other founders get. Between 2009 and 2017, only 0.0006% of venture capital funding went to businesses started by black women, according to nonprofit advocacy group Digital Undivided. The lawsuit against Fearless Fund was one of the first filed against corporate diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, and that's the part right there that Ed Blum saw and decided he was going to leap into it, the whole DEI thing. In the wake of the 2023 Supreme Court overturning affirmative action in college admissions, which again Ed Blum had a hand in doing. See, he did that with the attempt to go and get at black people, but it was really hurting Asians. See, they focus so much on us that they end up blocking their own blessings, but it is what it is. That's not my problem. Blum, the man behind the alliance, was also behind the Supreme Court affirmative action case, like I just stated. After that victory, he set his sights on private sector programs, which this Fearless Fund is. After suing Fearless, the alliance has since filed at least 9 other lawsuits against companies such as Southwest Airlines, law firms, and the governors of Minnesota and Alabama over race-conscious requirements and a variety of programs, basically anything they deem to be anti-white. The alliance has dropped some of the lawsuits after defendants agreed to change the eligibility requirements of their programs. Alfonso David, one of the lead lawyers for Fearless in this case, said in a statement, the settlement was a positive outcome for the fund. The parties agreed that Fearless will cease operating the Strivers Grant Contest, which was already in its final stage. The agreement is very narrow and does not restrict or relate to any other investment or charitable activity of the Fearless Fund or the foundation going forward. The impact of resolving this matter is significant in that a decision by 2 judges on the 11th Circuit will not bind the country. The Fearless Fund can now continue their work toward expanding economic opportunity. And that's how the article ends right there. I'm not surprised by this, but like I said, this is PC inferiority at play here, masking itself as being superior because they feel like they have all the cards and can do whatever it is that they want. Again, this is Ed Blum we're talking about. And for those of y'all who don't know what Ed Blum looks like, here he is right there. He's exactly what you would expect him to look like. I don't know how old or how recent this picture is, but either way, that man has a wicked spirit hovering around and within him. This guy is just absolutely diabolical. Y'all probably heard Harvey talk about him when he was over here on YouTube. He probably will still talk about him over there on Rumble. And you probably heard definitely Professor Black Truth talk about it or bring up his name as well. He's right there for me. He's right there with Christopher Rufo for me. Now you've heard us talk about Christopher Rufo, but you don't hear much of about Ed Blum. He's right there as far as like anti-black goes. They're to me on that same type of spectrum. For me, like they'll try to find any and everything in any corner or pocket that they can get black people at when black people try to create opportunities not only for themselves but for other black people and try to find a way to seek and destroy it under the guise of it being quote unquote anti-white, or they'll say it's DEI this or DEI that. Again, this is the same guy who helped lead the charge with getting rid of affirmative action, and all it did was hurt the Asian American community or those who benefited from it. Y'all saw the most recent live that I did talking about how that community ended up seeing a decline with 2 major Ivy League schools, and while the numbers for black enrollment pretty much stayed the same and white enrollment went up. So the people that got hurt by it were the ones who was fighting against it, and we saw what the turnout of that was less than a week after they overturned affirmative action last year, and then they've been complaining about it ever since. So yep, that's Ed Blum. So if you never heard the name Ed Blum before, you heard it for the first time today. You just got a tease of what this man is like. But trust and believe, that's not the only time that you'll hear his name. You'll probably hear his name again. Like I said, you heard in the article that this man has gone after several organizations or businesses because of the whole quote unquote DEI thing, or aka what they deem to be anti-white. Y'all heard the reason why he went after the Fearless Fund, because he said it wasn't open to every single woman, and he made sure to throw white women right there at the end. It wasn't supposed to be meant for all of them. They specifically laid out what it was supposed to be. But when it's something that's supposed to be specifically for us, here people like Ed Blum comes, and there's way too many Ed Blums if you ask me, to try to, or in this case, destroy it. Now, fortunately for them, the Fearless Fund didn't get shut down completely. Like, they're still active, but they shut down their whole contest that they had right in the final stages, like their lawyers said, of it. So that means a person who was going to be qualified for it just lost $20,000 towards their business, because people like Ed Blum was so insecure and acting very low vibrational, but that's no shock or surprise, and it didn't take no effort on his part to actually do that. Felt like he was offended. And the thing is, Ed Blum, you wouldn't even qualify anyway, because you're one on the gender aspect. This was for women, and you are a man, so you wouldn't even qualify in that aspect. And he was the only one seemingly that had a problem with it. You didn't see anybody else really care about this at all, or even know that they was even having this contest going on. And the thing about it is, when you look at the other organizations that he was going after, those are big, well-known corporations. Some are publicly traded. He went after the private sector, which was this. He went that low to the private sector to do and pull this move. I'm telling you right now, keep y'all eyes on Ed Blum. Again, like I said before, this is not going to be the last time you hear about him. You'll hear about him again, and you'll refer right back to this commentary and be like, oh, that's the guy Torian was talking about. That's Ed Blum. You want to know what's even more egregious is that Ed Blum was able to pull this off. You know, with the help of the courts, he was able to pull this off. Imagine if he wanted to snatch away the whole organization. Imagine that was what was on the table. He would have. In my opinion, this was his warning shot towards this organization, saying if you dare try it again, we'll not only come back and shut you down again, this contest, but we'll shut down your whole organization. That's the scary part. And that's why I keep trying to tell black people. It's not that black people don't want to build or anything like that. You have to contend with people like this who are so anti-black and petty that they will pull a move like this just because they feel like they can. That's the part that a lot of people don't seem to grasp or seem to understand. It's not that black people don't want to do it. It's because you run into hurdles like this one, and that a lot of people don't want to talk about. And then if you're one of the people that like to dismiss white supremacy all the time, this right here, everything that I've said after the part with the organization losing their contest would confuse the hell out of you. It would go right over your head. Anything that when I started talking about Ed Blum, you would have tuned it out.